What's going on, Socialites? Ryan here, Commissioner of the Global Pokemon Society Draft League, bringing you our Season 7 Week 2 review. A lot of stuff going on here in Week 2. To kick things off, the minor leagues started this week, so that's what you see up here on the screen. After Week 1 of minor league battles, we see 4 teams at 1-0, 4 teams at 0-1. Surprise, surprise, a winner or a loser. So let's go through the teams real quick. The Primal Groudons getting that #1 spot right now. The Phoenix Primals getting 8 differential points. Followed up is the Diamond Desert Dwellers, aka Chrysalianius, with 6 differential points. Then we got Ali, the heart and soul of the GPS, getting a win and getting 4 points. And then the Chicago Slowkings in the battle for Chicago, able to defeat the Chicago Scrafties, getting those 3 points. Now, despite losing their match and having a -4 differential, Daytona actually is in the #5 spot because they got a game win against the Psyducks. And then following them up are the 3 teams that got swept: the Chicago Scrafty, the El Paso Electros, and the Florida Feraligators. I'm going to link all these coaches down below with their teams for their YouTube pages, so you can definitely check them all out. I think we got, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? I think there's 6 coaches here that are on YouTube, but I'll double check before I post them all. But yeah, let's take a look at the top performing Pokemon. Of course, the #1 team has the best performing Pokemon, Medicham, getting 9 KOs and not fainting. Even had a little bit of a sweep in Game 2. I think got like 5 KOs at one point in Game 2 against the Florida Feraligators. Then you see Chicago with Swellow, Gengar, and Entei from the Mighty Psyducks, Blastoise from the Diamond Desert Dwellers, another Mighty Psyducks Pokemon, Regigigas, Chicago Scrafty Pokemon, and Kingdra. Daytona Colossals have Luxray and Mr. Mime, and then the Mighty Psyducks running out with Bronzong. Now, it does help that they played 3 games, but 4 Pokemon from the Mighty Psyducks making it to the top 10, but clear and away is Medicham there in the top spot. So one thing I just wanted to point out, and I offered this to the people in the Discord for all the minors coaches and even the majors coaches if they're interested, and I'll just offer it here in the video. But I do watch all the battles. I do that, and I just want to extend my quote-unquote expertise to anybody who just wants to sit down, watch their battle, and just talk about, you know, what can be better optimized, what other, you know, a lot of it comes down to like basics, right? Just like move sets, and, you know, like, we don't have to get into higher level stuff like predictions and everything, but even just basic move sets are important on some of these Pokemon. So it is good to kind of just address that, because that's kind of one of the basic things that we talk about. So again, I'm just extending that out. I'd be happy to sit down and watch a battle with a coach and kind of talk through some stuff with them. Moving on, though, that was Week 1 in the minors, a pretty successful Week 1. We got Week 2 in the major leagues. So we see your boy, the Boston Braviaries, way ahead, 21 differential points already, dismantling of what in the preseason we were putting as the team to beat the Pittsburgh Poltergeist in their rain squad. You know, follow me for more tips on how to beat those teams. But yep, so first place there. Then tied for second, we got Paris Saint-Germain and Tuscaloosa, both with 12 points. Then Lavertown Gangars with 10 points. Charm City in their first battle because of their forfeit win in Week 1 gets a win, getting 4 points. Same thing with Denver, getting a win in the championship rematch. If you missed that, definitely check it out. It was a very close battle, getting 3 points there. Oklahoma Thunderous losing to the Vero Beach Volcaros. Now this, we'll hop into this real quick. So this match actually got overturned after review by the rules committee. So the initial battle, if you haven't watched Couch Pilot Games, the initial battle, Game 3 of their match goes to time, and Oklahoma wins because their Venomoth was at full health, and the Arcanine that just came in that turn took Stealth Rock's damage. So, you know, the total percent of HP was the difference there. Upon further review, the Rules Committee decided to reverse that ruling due to this sequence of plays here. You see we're at about 40 minutes and 30 seconds here. So this is Shiftry just came in against Cresselia. And basically this starts a 8-minute loop. Might even be a little over 8 minutes, but an 8-minute loop of Cresselia going for Calm Mind and Moonlight and kind of alternating between those two moves, while Shiftry goes for X-Scissor, and the Cresselia just able to keep being able to repeat healing most of the time. The max HP Cresselia, even without too much defensive bulk, Adamant max attack, Shiftry can only do about like 33 to 35% max. Like that's getting a max roll on that. So even if they weren't bold and only had like max HP, which we could actually check that if this is a max HP Cresselia. Let's take a quick look here. Okay, so yeah, it is a max HP Cresselia. So even if this didn't have any defensive bulk and it was just a Calm Mind variant with max special defense, again, Shiftry only doing that much damage. So again, this lasted over 8 minutes. If we scroll, you can see here, finally, like we're almost at, this started at 40 minutes, 30 seconds. We're finally at almost 49 minutes, so about 8.5 minutes this took up of a 20-minute match timer, so almost 50% of the match timer. I think that's like 42.5%, 43% of the match timer, just for the Cresselia to go through all this and to kill the Shiftry. There were other plays that could have been made that wouldn't have taken this amount of time off, and actually I think would have put Oklahoma in a winning position. So that happens, right? And this is one of the reasons why the match went to time. Now, when the match goes to time, we're skipping to the end here. So you see Venomoth, the timer's ticking down. Venomoth gets the KO onto Porygon Z here. And what's going to happen is Arcanine is going to come out. The animations, right? It's going to take Stealth Rock's damage here. It's going to proc the Intimidate. Venomoth was Focus Sash. Now, based on Arcanine's HP, the Arcanine was Modest, Max Special Attack. As you see, it goes here and gives Oklahoma the win there. But the Arcanine's Flamethrower would have brought the Venomoth down to Sash. It was Modest, Max Special Attack, Charcoal as the item. Flamethrower would have definitely procced the Focus Sash. Venomoth could have only KO'd Arcanine with a critical hit Bug Buzz. Again, this didn't have Quiver Dance up or anything. And Bug Buzz would have only done about 55% without a critical hit. So it would have needed a crit, which is only like 4.25% or whatever. And then the Arcanine had Extreme Speed to get the KO. So we determined that this match, due to the Cresselia wasting, kind of a liberal word, but spending 8.5 minutes just to KO the Shiftry, when I think a switch into Venomoth, yes, you would have taken X-Scissor and broke your Sash, but then you could have just Bug Buzz to KO the Shiftry or whatever anyway, and you would have been fine, is what prompted this to go to time. And if it hadn't gone to time, Arcanine would have had a 96% chance to win, would have needed a crit from the Venomoth again. So looking at that, the Rules Committee did decide to reverse that and gave Vero the win and changed the differential points, awarded Arcanine a KO against Venomoth, so both teams got 0 differential points based on the win-loss of the first 2 games in that set. So that's why you see here now Oklahoma 1-1, 3-game wins, 7 points, and Vero also 1-1 with 3-game wins, a -1 point differential. Our last couple 1-1 teams, Pittsburgh had a forfeit win in week 1, and they lost to Boston this week, so they are 1-1 with minus 10 points. And one of the interesting things here, the Badoofs, who had a forfeit loss last week, they get a win against the New York Yankees, but it just happened to be one of those games where they actually lost. Like, they got the match win, but they lost in differential points because it went to 3 games, and the Yankees, in the game that they won, had significantly more Pokemon compared to the 2 games that the Badoofs won. So that's the top 10 right now. That's where you want to be. Stay in that top 10. You're looking good. So everybody who's won so far is in that top 10. Our next runner-up is the first 0-2 team that has 1 match win. That is the New York Yankees. And then we got all of our 0-2 teams here. The LA Kinglers, the Memphis Mews, the Driftvale City Dragapults, the Tokyo Togekiss, and the Black City Zekrom. So we'll have to see which of those 0-2 teams can start clawing back. Definitely just pointing out a couple things here. The LA Kinglers replacing the El Paso Electros from last week, so they actually had 0 differential points this week, so that's why, why they have less difference in differential points there. But also pointing out the Memphis Mews, our last season's finalists, starting off 0-2. I'm sure they have a good team. I'm sure they'll bounce back, but they do have a tough schedule. That's what happens when you do well in this league. You do well, you get a tougher schedule. So they do have a tough schedule. It is not a schedule that you want to start off 0-2 on, so we'll have to see how they do over the next 7 games. The Driftvale City Dragapults, again, a team that has been a perennial playoff team, starting off 0-2. Cole not proving us wrong so far with our preseason ranking. Tokyo Togekiss, our champion from 2 seasons ago, starting off 0-2. And another perennial playoff team, the Black City Zekrom, starting off 0-2. So a lot of these teams with a lot of history doing well in the league, all 0-2. We'll have to see how or if they're able to turn it around. Alright, now we'll look at our top 10 performing Pokemon. As we see, the Lavender Town Gengars actually having the top 2 best performing Pokemon. Like, these Pokemon account for all of their KOs. They haven't gotten a KO from any other Pokemon except for Tyranitar and Garchomp. Then you see Cresselia doing very well. I thought Cresselia did the best in week 1, and it continues to do well here in week 2. Then you see Miss Magius for the Boston Braviaries. Did a lot of good work. If you haven't seen the match against the Pittsburgh Poll, you guys definitely check it out. Miss Magius did a lot of good work. Porygon Z for the Bear Beach Volcaronas. Charm City with their namesake Charizard. Only in 1 match due to their forfeit win in week 1. So picking up 7 KOs in that match for week 2. Real big for Charizard. Rotom Wash from PSG. Ludicolo for the Tuscaloosa Talonflames, Gardevoir from the Memphis Mews, and another Tuscaloosa Talonflame, Gorbis, rounding out the top 10 for the top 10 best performing Pokemon. So we'll have to see if Lavender Town can start spreading some KOs to the rest of their team, but overall we see a lot of different teams representing in the top 10. With that, let's take a quick look at the schedule for this upcoming week here. So we are in week 3 here coming up. So we got Black City going up against the Driftvale City Dragapults. So these are 2 0-2 teams. Again, 2 teams that typically do pretty well, make it to the playoffs. So one of them will be 1-2 and one will be 0-3. And I think that team that goes 0-3, that is going to be rough. Just to put it lightly, that is going to be rough to go 0-3. So this might be a season on the line for these 2 teams. I like Black City's team more, but we don't have a lot of information on them due to their week 1 forfeit. And they played a pretty close game against PSG in week 2, which does give me hope, but their team doesn't have a lot of offense. So that could be an issue. They are a pretty slow and bulky team, so... But so is Driftvale. Driftvale is not a very fast team either, so we'll have to see how that works out. Next, we got the Boston Braviers going up against the Charm City Charguards. Two 2-0 teams, so one of them is going to get their first loss here. Boston going up against back-to-back weather teams. So we go from sun, or excuse me, from rain last week with Pittsburgh to sun this week with Charm City. And speaking as the head coach for the Boston Braviers, I'm definitely a little more worried about the sun team. I think that'll be an interesting game. We'll have to see if we pick up some free agents to try to make that a little easier for us. Then you got the Buffalo Badoops, 1-1 going up against Paris Saint-Germain. This should be an interesting game. I don't have too much to say about that. I just think both of these teams kind of do interesting things. I mean, more so Badoof does interesting things, but PSG is a good coach, so we'll have to see how they adapt. Then we got the Denver Ninetales, the reigning champ, taking on the Vero Beach Volcaronas. Vero with a pretty good all-around team. Same thing with Denver, so I think that'll be a pretty good game. Vero's been, even in week 1, they took their set to 3 games and played it very close against the Lavertown Gangars. And I think that we'll see something similar here against Denver. Vero's been playing a lot of really close sets. Then we got the LA Kinglers going up against the Memphis Muse. This is where I think Memphis can kind of turn around a bit. I don't think LA has the firepower to break through Memphis. We'll have to see if they make some free agent adjustments. Yeah, we'll see. I think Memphis has that one, though. Then we got the Lavertown Gangars and the Oklahoma Thunderous. So, Oklahoma looking to bounce back. I know they want to bounce back and get a win here after that timer decision. But Lavertown has the 2 best performing Pokemon right now with the combo of Garchomp and Tyranitar, and that is a pretty good core. That's a good duo to have. So I think this will be a really good game. I expect it probably to go to 3 sets and for there to be a lot of good plays for sure. Then we got the New York Yankees going up against Pittsburgh Poltergeist. So unfortunate start for the Yankees, having to go up against a couple of really good teams in their first few games. We'll have to see what they can do against Pittsburgh. I think the Boston Braviers team was very well positioned against a rain team such as Pittsburgh's. I don't know how the Yankees are positioned. Their team is kind of one-sided, as in they have like a lot of physical threats, i.e. Infernape, Gyarados, and Primeape, and Tauros. But Vileplume might be like the wild card there. And they could bring Dugong as like a little bit of bulk too. Like Dugong's not the best, but it's something anyway. So we'll have to see how they play around that, or if they make some free agent moves. Just checking. Okay, so the last one we have is the Tokyo Togekiss and the Tuscaloosa Talonflames. Again, Tokyo starting off 0-2. Tuscaloosa, a really strong rain team. I think Tuscaloosa has this one. Like, I think Pittsburgh still has the better rain team just because of their threats, but Tuscaloosa's rain team still is performing, and I don't think Tokyo has what it takes to overcome that. So I do think, unfortunately, Tokyo is going to be 0-3 still, just 2 seasons after their championship. So again, I mentioned a lot about the free agents coming up, so let's take a quick look at these potential free agents that we have. Alright, so up here we have the potential free agents that are still available. Now, I'm not going to really go over the S and A tier too much. I mean, those Pokemon are just good, although I do expect some changes for a few of the teams for sure. But looking at the B tier, we still have some pretty solid Pokemon here. I'm not super high on Venusaur just because it got nerfed pretty hard compared to Sword and Shield. In Sword and Shield, you had Earth Power and Weather Ball for offensive stuff, especially on a Sun team. In this one, you're kind of locked into, you know, like Giga Drain, Sleep Powder, Sludge Bomb, and, you know, either Leech Seed or maybe like a Leaf Storm or something. But it's just not as impactful as it was. Poliwrath I really like. I don't think Tuscaloosa will pick this Pokemon up, but it is a good Swift Swimmer. It also has a water immunity through Water Absorb. I think it's just a pretty solid Pokemon. That's just my thoughts on Poliwrath. Magneton is still available. I think as far as Steel types go, people look at it and think, oh, it's a pre-evolution of Magnezone. It's still good, right? It's still a good Pokemon, and it can do a lot of things. It's still a Steel Trapper. It still hits really hard. It still has the, even without Eviolite, it still has the defenses to make it work. Then moving on. Exeggutor would be okay in a Sun team, but again, our only Sun team already has Victory Bell, so I don't think they need Exeggutor. Weezing is a pretty good defensive Pokemon for anyone looking for like a physical defensive Pokemon. Toxic Spikes, Will-O-Wisp, Sludge Bomb, Flamethrower, pretty solid. Scyther could be interesting. Now again, no heavy duty boots in this game, so you gotta make sure that you have Pokemon that can keep rocks off, but Scyther with Technician still does some work. I don't see any team really interested in Amistar. Mantine's an interesting one. Could either go on one of the rain teams, or it's a good kind of Roost defogger. Again, as long as you have something that can keep those electric types away, either a good ground Pokemon or maybe like a Lightning Rodder, you'll be fine. Sceptile's still available. Probably the best grass type still available in the lower tiers. Gut Swallow for a team looking for a fast physical attacker. Masquerain if you want some webs. Medicham, I really like Medicham. I really like Medicham. Scarf Medicham hits like a truck. So the B tier is still good. Skuntank's a pretty good utility Pokemon. Mega's down there. Choice Specs Mega does huge damage. Like there's a lot of good stuff still in B tier. I expect a lot of movement there. In the C tier, we're getting a little drier. Muck is an okay special defensive Pokemon. It gets access to some good utility moves. Obviously Toxic, Knockoff, that sort of stuff. And pure poison type's a pretty good defensive typing, only weak to ground and psychic. Keep going. Mr. Mime's like the last decent fairy type left. So, maybe. Pinsir's alright. Moxie, Choice Scarf. I could see a team that needs like a physical attacker maybe going with that. Looking. I like a Lumise because I like Volbeat, and Lumise is just a slightly worse than Volbeat. The only reason it's worse is because it is a special attack instead of a physical attacker, and usually with Volbeat and Lumise you want U-turns so that you can do like encore sort of shenanigans, then U-turn out. Swalot has a little bit of utility. You can make it, it's another pure poison type, so not a bad defensive type. You can make it bulky, and with Gluttony and Custap Berry, it can get Destiny Bond, so you only have to be below half to get a priority Destiny Bond. So that is an option for some teams. I don't know if it gets Toxic Spikes or anything, but it does get some good utility moves. Bastiodon's a bulky boy. He's still down here. For Ugly, if you just want like some annoying fake out U-turn Pokemon, it's fast. It's like a worse Ambipom. Lumineon, if you want to prioritize a water immunity that can also defog and roost. Defog, roost, U-turn, Scald. Pretty standard set on Lumineon. Leafeon, for a physical or physically defensive grass type, is still available. That's about it. I mean, obviously the C tier is a C tier. You're kind of dried up there, but yeah, we'll have to see what decisions people make this week, and then of course whatever decisions they make this week, that means other Pokemon being dropped. Maybe they drop one that you're interested in. We'll have to see. But thanks for watching this week 2 review. Let me know your thoughts on the draft league after the second week. And as always, stay classy, Society.